Good morning, Jean-Pierre. Thank
Morning.
you for accepting this little discussion. How do you see the role of European corporations in today's global market economy?
Very good question, and it's absolutely key and critical at this particular time. We're undergoing the most profound transformation that the world economy has seen for 500 years or thereabouts. And in particular, what we're seeing is that the dominance of Europe and then subsequently the West is in disappearing. Slowly, Europe will still be there, etc. But nevertheless, what we're seeing is the re-emergence of other poles of economic activity, notably China, India, but not only, and the expansion of these countries into third markets. So, for example, China in Africa, India in the Middle East, and so on. And this is happening at a time when Europe, the European Union, is 50. And is wondering a little bit, it's having a bit of a midlife crisis. Others have said that, but it's a very appropriate term to use. And it doesn't know quite how to react. There's a sort of hunkering down effect as opposed to opening up. What is critical here is specifically the role of the corporations. In other words, we live in a period of profound transformation. We're seeing a much greater degree of competitiveness than we've ever seen before, emerging from all sorts of places. The reaction of much of the European public is that of anxiety and fear of the unknown rather than emphasizing the opportunities. So the corporations, what they need to do is to assume a much greater leadership role, emphasizing the opportunities of globalization. And looking at how to remain competitive by going to the kinds of areas where Europe has a lot to offer. And this is in the areas of, for example, environmental business. This is absolutely critical in innovation, in services. In other words, that to build up poles of excellence rather than try to protect, as Europe has, for example, in the context of the wars that it's led against China and Vietnam in garments or shoes. That's not what European corporations should be doing. They should be facing the 21st century with confidence, strategically aggressive, innovative, entrepreneurial.
In your daily work as a professor at IMD and as a founder of the Evian Group, you're talking to thought leaders in companies and outside companies in government daily. How are these individuals taking these challenges?
You know, I think unfortunately there's a time lapse. There's a time lapse between change and the reaction to change. What we've seen is that there's been an exponential increase in the developments in technology. In markets, we have roughly 3 billion more people engaged in consumption and production than we had in, say, even as late as 15 years ago. And while these exponential changes are taking place, mentalities and institutions and corporate structures, etc., evolve in a linear fashion. So there's a gap here. I think when you talk to people about this changing global environment, yes, they know. Has it been really digested, absorbed? Have you seen the kinds of reactions that, in my opinion, would be necessary? The answer is, by and large, no. So there is, if you like, a time gap here, which is not too serious per se, as long as it's going to be breached relatively soon.
Now I know you're reading a lot of books, a very large variety of technical books, books from different authors from different countries. What two books would you recommend to the leaders of today?
You know, that's very difficult, but I suppose I would perhaps recommend two among many. I mean, the literature today is very exciting. I'm reading a book on China, which I find extremely thought-provoking, written by Will Hutton, called The Writing on the Wall, which I would certainly recommend. But if one's limited to two texts, I think I would recommend a book by a former World Bank Vice President, Jean-François Richard, called High Noon, 20 Global Issues and 20 Years to Solve Them. The book was written a number of years ago, so we no longer have 20 years, but it focuses very much on the kinds of issues and the approaches that we should have. And then another one, something we haven't talked about, is that the global market's only going to be realizable if we have a global community, and that's not where we're going right now. We're going more towards a clash of civilizations than a feast of civilizations, as I often say. And to me, the best antidote for this is a book by the Indian Nobel Prize Economics winner Amartya Sen, entitled Identity and Violence.
Jean-Pierre, thank you for this short discussion.
Thank you.